Hi there, it's Stephanie, and I am super excited to talk to you today from Go Natural English about ways to sound more like a native speaker. I always get students asking me questions about how they can sound more like a native speaker. What are some tips I can give you, right? Okay, so today I've got 3 tips to tell you about to make you sound more fluent. But before I do that, I want to tell you about a free sample course at Go Natural English. All you have to do is type in gonaturalenglish.com/7steps. All right, so what are my tips? Number 1, my first tip is called reductions. Okay, so when we're speaking English, we reduce our vowel sounds on these small little words. Small words called prepositions, conjunctions, helping verbs, right? There are lots of words that we call function words in English pronunciation that we reduce. We make that vowel sound quieter and also quicker, okay? So for example, some prepositions, in, for, on, right? Those words, when you say them alone, you can really hear that vowel sound, right? But when it's in a sentence, we don't really hear that vowel sound very much, right? So for example, with in, okay? So when I say, it's in my bag, it's in. You can see we really make it quick and quiet. It's in my bag. Like if you're talking about your book or something, right? Like, where's the book? It's in my bag, okay? Also with for, I need to go to the store for some ice cream. For. We don't say for. We don't make that or sound. Instead, we say fur. Okay? So reduce those vowel sounds on words like prepositions, also conjunctions like and or. Instead of saying and, like for example, if you say, someone asks you, would you like some cream in your coffee? And you say, sure, I'd like some cream and sugar in my coffee. Okay, so so instead of saying and, we say All right, so that was the first way for you to sound more fluent. Reduce those vowel sounds on those small little function words. Okay, number 2, contractions. Okay, you really need to work on using more contractions when you're speaking. There's a big difference between speaking and writing. Okay, so that needs to be really clear. Big difference, right? So when you write in your classroom, you're going to write much more formally. But when you're speaking in everyday English, you're going to use contractions on helping verbs and on modals, some modals that you use contractions with. Okay, so for example, oftentimes you're going to hear the word did, unless it's at the beginning of the sentence. Of course, you're not going to use a contraction at the beginning of the sentence, right? But if it's in the middle of the sentence, you will use a contraction. So for example, I hear students all the time saying, why did you do that? Why did you do that? Right? Instead of saying why did, native speakers say why'd. Like WHY apostrophe D. Isn't that funny? We just use a contraction with did. Why'd you do that? Okay, so practice using more contractions. Another example with would. Instead of saying it would be very nice to see you this weekend, we say it'd be very nice to see you this weekend. Okay, so isn't that interesting? We just cut off that whole long word, would, and we just say it'd, I-T apostrophe D, okay? All right, another example, one that you might hear native speakers using, is with is, but instead of with like it's, we can actually use a contraction with is on a word like someone. Someone is at the door. Instead of saying someone is at the door, we say someone's at the door. Someone's at the door. Instead of saying at, we say ut. Remember, that's another preposition. I was telling you about. So reduce the preposition vowel. Instead of saying at, you say ut. Instead of saying is, you say z. Someone's at the door. Someone's at the door. Okay? All right, so that's the second way that you can sound more fluent. Number three is linking. That's another word we use when we talk about English pronunciation to mean when words link together, okay? So with H words that are not the main nouns or verbs. So for example, with the pronouns him and her, right? You can hear that H sound when I say it by itself, him and her, okay? But when we use him and her in a sentence, and it's in the middle of the sentence, remember you have beginning, middle, end, right? If it's at the beginning of the sentence, we can hear that H sound. I'm only talking about the middle now, okay? So for example, give her my number. Give her. Instead of saying give her, we say give her my number. So it sounds like V apostrophe ER. So it actually sounds like we're making a contraction on that H word. Give her my number. Give her my number. Another one, find and him. Could you find him for me? Find him. Find him. Instead of saying find him, we don't hear that sound. We just sound like im. Find him. Can you find him for me? Can you find him for me? Or for me, we say for, right? Okay, so contractions with some H sounding pronouns is very common. That's another way that you can sound more like a native speaker. All right, so you have learned 3 ways today to sound more like a native speaker. Reductions, contractions, and linking, okay? If you practice those 3 pronunciation tips, I know you're gonna sound more like a native speaker. All right, so it was so good talking with you today. Before we go, I just wanna tell you about a fluent communication course that Go Natural English offers. Gabby has made some great video courses for you at Fluent Communication. So go to Go Natural English and check out the Fluent Communication course. All right, I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.